Hey folks, I'd like to show you a technique that's specific to Photoshop CS5, although you could do parts of it in earlier versions. I'm actually working on a updated version of my Finishing Touches class on Kelby Training, and here's one of the techniques that I'm working on for that class. I thought I'd give you a little bit of foreshadowing. It's actually a really cool idea, I think, because it gives a really cool kind of painterly effect, but in a way that's very flexible. We're going to start off with our background layer. And I'm going to convert it to a smart object. Mostly in this case because I just want to have it sort of like unlocked, but also have the ability to go back and change my mind if I needed to. Then I'm going to add a new layer below. Command or Control click on the new layer button, and I'm going to sample a color from our main image and then go to the color picker and probably choose a slightly lighter shade of the same one. And this part we can experiment with, certainly. Then we go back to our main layer, and I'm going to add a layer mask with the Option or Alt key held down. And that hides everything. So I make sure I'm still on the mask. And I'm going to start off with my regular paintbrush, but use one of the bristle brushes in Photoshop CS5. I'm going to put the opacity down a little bit, 80%, and finally make sure I'm painting with white. So of course that means wherever I paint with white, I'll be revealing my photograph. And because I'm doing it at 80%, every time I brush, I'm gonna kind of go over the same areas and make parts of it more visible as I go. At this point, I'm just trying to get want to show her, so I'm not cutting off any parts, but I deliberately am trying to not do too much in terms of the background area. And as you can probably see on the side there, I'm tilting the brush on my tablet different ways to try and change things up a bit so it gets a little bit different. So at this point, I just want to again kind of get the main parts in like this. And I'm deliberately leaving a few gaps here and there. So that's not too bad. It looks kind of cool. But what's really going to make the difference, first of all, let me show you the layer mask to show you can see there. It's mostly white, but there are little bits of gray in here. What's really going to make the difference in this looking, kind of have this more painterly edge to it, is now I go to the mixer brush tool. And I'm going to have this set to say don't pick up any color, and have it set fairly high in wet paint. I'm not going to worry too much about all the other things. And once again, I'm going to pick one of these bristle type brushes and make it considerably larger. Now I'm on the mask, remember, so now it's as if the mask itself is wet paint. So if I go from the white out, it kind of pulls it into the black, or the other way around. You can see now already, if I go back and forth, kind of the effect it's having on the mask, and this is what it ends up looking like on the image. We just make sure we're painting on the mask and trying different amounts. I'm using also some of the pressure sensitivity on my tablet, making circles, doing all kinds of experiments, but every time thinking about the fact that it's kind of dragging that paint around from black to white and vice versa. You can already kind of see the effect that I'm going for, and of course I could try different brushes, different angles, all that good stuff. But that's what's kind of neat about this idea, is really that's all there is to it. There's nothing other than that. At this point it's just more experimentation. Of course we can continue to go with this, and in addition we can apply a filter to the mask, but this is what our mask is looking like right now, and you can already see it's getting that kind of nice painterly look. I could try applying a filter like maybe texturizer a little bit, just to see what that does. Add a little bit of texture, something like that. Let's see what that looks like. That's kind of cool. Now as I zoom in a little bit closer, I see that there are some parts where I just want to go back to my regular paintbrush and kind of fill in and make sure that I want her to be fairly visible and not have kind of gaps of paint, but all around the edges is where I really want to see that extra kind of effect, something like that. Now the other thing we could do, this is an optional step if you want to add to the effect, is go on to the background that we've put in, that extra color, and take a tool like the burn tool. Once again, trying one of these brushes just to see what it does, and okay, that's obviously a giant size brush. There we go. And all I'm doing is trying to burn or darken the texture around the outside. And what I'll probably do, I'm not sure so far that I really like everything about that, because I've got it probably set pretty high, so let's hide this for a second. Yeah, that's a little more than I got a little carried away there. What I'd probably do, just a quick way to kind of fix up my over enthusiasm, would be to use the fill command, take our foreground color and just put it in about, like, say 60%, so that's a little more like I had in mind, so it's a little more of a subtle kind of effect. But again, the neat part about this is still just an object with a layer mask, so if I don't like it, I can hide it completely, or if I want to tweak the results, or if I want to edit the original photograph, I still can, because it's a smart object. So it just gives me a pretty nice way of getting a nice little painted edge kind of effect very, very quickly and easily.